This is my rig. I wanted to show you, for those of you who are creating your own or are doing anything else, this is basically what I've settled on. This is how I shot the stuff we're going to be looking at. This is what I took to Japan on the photo safari. This, as a matter of fact, if you get next issue of Photo Media Magazine, the spring issue, I did a story on rigging for travel that covers all this stuff in detail. But there's a few things that I've found for me that are a must for doing things. I've got a small HD monitor. This has got HD output, it's got false color, it's got focus assist, it's got everything, even does the dishes for me, you know, when it's my turn. But this is probably the greatest thing. You know, I can replace everything else, but this I love. I've got bad eyes, you know, I'm about right here. I start to see without glasses. From here forward, I need glasses. So it's really tough. So being out and being able to have situational awareness and a crisp, sharp image really matters to me.
How well does that work out in bright sunlight?
I can't hear you.
How well does that work out in bright sunlight? Do you need to hood it or anything?
Well, it just so happens they make this cool little snap-on viewing hood. I've only had to use it once. All the time I was shooting over in Japan and just down in Mexico. In Mexico, I had to use it when we were out on the boats shooting the whales because it was just like we were frying and there was glare from everywhere. But I'm finding that I'm usually, you know, camera can be at a different angle, so I'm blocking. Japan, it wasn't any problem, it was raining all the time. But this is a cool little neoprene snap-on hood. And I don't know what the other ones have, but you know, this company is really innovative. They're great on that. The way I have this set up is I've got a Genus basic rig that I use all the time. And this little rig is so much fun. I have a big Shape WLB from Canada that it really adds mass and stuff. So if I'm local and I need a lot of mass, if I'm doing kayak races or boats or stuff, I have that. But all of this packs up into this one little space where I used to have a Quantum 2x2 and a Trio, okay, a flash and a battery. And I've got a whole rig in there. But great points of contact, shoulder brace. I found out that if you take the shoulder brace while it's on the tripod, you can fit an umbrella in here. It's just, I don't think they intended it that way, but the handles are adjustable, so I can drive my follow focus, which is also a Genus, the Bravo. I tested all the real expensive ones over $1,000. The $500, under $500, this has no lash, no back, or no play, anything. And I'm not gentle with my gear. You know, when I take this apart, I'll throw that in the center with the bars and everything else, and it works out great. The real optional item for me is the matte box. I usually use rubber lens hoods, and the matte box doesn't work really great with one of my favorite discoveries that you've got to get, because the reason we play with these cameras and we add all this stuff and we go through all the pain to shoot them as video cameras is to get that cinematic narrow depth of field, okay? Now, when you shoot, you know you're shooting at 2 times the frame rate. So if you're shooting 24, you're trying to shoot 48 or 50 as a shutter speed. That's just pretty much standard to keep things from moving around. This camera goes down to ISO 100, okay? If I'm outside, sunny day, Greg, what's the normal formula for outside on a sunny day?
The sunny 16 rule?
Sunny 16. 16 is not the depth of field that I want or that I shoot these cameras for. You know, and 100 is, okay, so I was carrying 4 ND filters and a polarizer and stacking things and going through all this. When I was talking to the folks from Genus Tech at Photo Plus Expo about this rig and follow focus, they showed me this. I got a lens hood on it, but this is a variable ND filter. 2 to 8 stops with the twist of the handle. I don't know if you can see it change and darken and stuff. I'll pass this around. So you put it on, doesn't matter. Sunny 16, cloud comes over, you just change it. You can, I shoot 50 at f4 is like my favorite, my snow monkeys and everything else, okay? I can stay there. All I do is adjust a filter now. Instead of
dual polarized lenses.
It's a circular and a linear polarizer sandwiched together. They're available for 400 and something bucks by one company. They're available from a couple of different companies in the same price point at this. I think it was around 135. This one had the best coating, and at the extreme end, at the 8-stop end, the others seemed to show cross-hatching when I was processing my footage. So this one didn't. Would you pass this one down, let them look at that so they can just hold the very inner ring and then you can turn it and see.
We have a couple questions from the chat room.
I'm sorry, I'm not taking questions anymore.
Just a real question.
I only took one.
About do they ruin color? How does the neutral density affect the color?
You know, that one had the least amount of color effect. The other one I got from Hong Kong had a green cast to it. So that one is pretty much like a neutral density. But I'm glad you brought up color, because I have a take on color that you cannot leave home without, you can leave home without your American Express, and I try to as often as possible, but I could never leave home without this. This is probably the most valuable thing in my camera bag. It's called an X-Rite Passport Color Checker. It's indestructible virtually. It's hard plastic, fits in your thing, it's got a lanyard, everything. It's not only the Macbeth color charts that you see here, which really help in post-production, it's got a nice little, you know, off-white grayscale for you too. There's the second one in my bag for some lucky participant. These are really great. SIR Marketing, who reps X-Rite, Steve Rosenbaum was really great to give us one of these, because he knows I won't shoot anything without it. You'll see it on all the footage we work with. You know, it's up there in the front, just like at the end of that Animoto piece with Yaya. This thing, Greg, you've worked with me before. You know, it's like I used to carry around a big Macbeth, you know, $89 piece of cardboard. This one's been through a lot of shoots, and she's still holding up. She's not falling apart, but it will make your post-production life a lot simpler. So if you have the variable ND on, and then you shoot your test shots or your white balance, you know, from here, and shoot your first couple of seconds of footage, you're good to go in post, okay? What else do we have here? God, you know, I look at all this stuff and I'm trying to think, okay, except for the small HD and the Switchblades, which is my next favorite new discovery. Everything else here is from B&H. I know that's kind of, you know, usually you shop for deals and do things and everything else, but over the years I've found, and Celeste just reminded me, that you order it, you pay for it, it gets there. It's on, if it's on the website, it's there. It's not like that other company where it's on the website and they call you the next day, right after you expected it to be delivered, and say, oh, by the way, we're out of stock. And we have no idea. Why it's not on the website? B&H is just reliable. I love them, okay? I do more than half of my business with them. All of this stuff is available there. Where were we? Oh, these. Okay. Again, I hate to pick on Greg, but Greg's assisted me a few times. And he knows that I have, what, 12, 14 Lastolite diffusion panels with every cover made. And we're talking from the big ones down to the small ones. And they're not bad for me as a photographer, because I usually don't have to set them up. You know, my assistants do. But they're a pain in the butt with the elastic and everything. They're gorgeous. I love the silks. I love everything about them. But when I started doing this and started doing the run and gun type stuff, and especially when I got the the LED lights, you know, like the 500 and 1000 bulb LEDs, trying to get a convergence type light, something that was low wattage yet bright enough to use. They have a weird quality of light. It's not like my Pro Photos or my Quantums or like Aries. They're a little harsh. So I'm looking around for something smaller, portable, and to diffuse the light and to reflect the light and to use as a regular flag kit. Came across these, and I had to call the guy because his website, you know, claimed all kinds of stuff. He's an ex-filmmaker, or still makes film, but had these things that fold out, and the whole kit has super white bounce, diffusion, blocks, floppies, nets, everything. It's called the Switchblade, and there's 4 of them in the bag, 4 frames like this. He's even gone down to where he has a new one out with serrated edges, so it blends better with the floppies if you're using a net or diffusion or something like that. So anyways, John Ehler, the owner of Switchblade and the inventor of this, has donated a double kit, which means 4 frames with all the fabrics and everything else as another one of the drawing prizes. But again, I want to really emphasize because I didn't ask these people just because I knew they were easy touches. I asked them because I use this stuff and I love it. I use it. It helps me. When we were setting up to shoot Jordan or we were setting up to shoot Yaya and I had these LED lights, I could have gone down, set up the big 4x4 panels or the 6x6 panels and gone through all of that, but these things were a snap. And you know, I've got 4 complete flag or diffusion rigs in this little bag. So anyways, that one's not available at B&H, sorry. What else did we have up there I want to talk about? Let me come back to these Delkin 16 gigabyte class 10s. How many of you shoot SDHC and how many of you shoot compact flash? So SDHC, compact, okay. What class cards do you shoot?
I don't know.
You don't know, okay. You know, just, I don't know if it's the tech weenie part of me or whatever. It was one of the first things I really got into because I noticed this price gap like this between class 4, class 6, and class 10. And I'm looking at these going, okay, what the heck's the difference? I finally went and found out. And thank God, Delkin, Martin down there makes, you get Delkin cards? Cool, yeah, and you know, they're, I still can't believe 16 gigabytes fits into something this size. It's scary. Compact flash was small enough for me, but anyways, class 10 is going to give you a better speed, a more consistent speed, and with the amount of information that they're pushing through on these, what is it, 25 megs per second, the throughput. You've got to have a class 10 card to be able to capture everything and to deal with, that's pretty heavy compression. You know, we're going into down a funnel into a real narrow throat, and then, you know, we're going to bring it back out into the computer. But
hey Rick, we have a couple of gear questions while you're up there. We had a couple people asking who the manufacturer of the follow focus was and who was the maker of the frame for the camera.
both Genus Tech, excuse me. That's available through B&H. It's actually distributed by Manfrotto here in the States. I got in with the Genus Tech folks through the follow focus, and then when I met them down at PPE, they turned me on to this basic field rig because I was looking for something for this one bag convergence kit for the story and the trip to the Snow Monkeys. Then they showed me all the different pieces and parts. Mark Blaker, the tech rep, you know, turned me on. I have these, you know, this is how old-fashioned I am. These are from my Mamiya RZ67, you know, old rubber lens hoods that I keep transferring from camera to camera. this is what I usually use. And he looked at it and went, you know, that's not very cinematic. This is cool when I shoot in the studio, but truthfully, that's the only place I shoot with a matte box. I use, you know, hoods everywhere else. Number one, because the variable ND filter does not work with the matte box. And I've become more addicted to that than I have to this. Otherwise, follow focus, crank, the whole bottom rig is all Genesis Tech. We're small HD on the monitor. This is the Manfrotto the Bogen 701 HDV, lightweight fluid head. I've got the 502 at home. The people at Manfrotto tell me I'm nuts for using them, but I've been carrying them for probably 5 or 6 years with my still gear. And, you know, they're 55, the 055 brand mag fiber, they weigh almost nothing. And I keep telling them that they're not the ones hiking up the mountains with it or packing it or, you know, carrying it around. They want me to have these, well, they want me to have those, the same ones our cameramen are using here, which is cool. I'd love to have a set for my studio, but not for rigging and not for traveling. This is my main bag. This is a think tank airport security bag. This fits on any plane from a 737 on up, in the cabin with me. All of this gear, except for the tripod legs, which go in with my clothes, everything fits inside here. I'm a one-bag person now. Greg's got a different job now, and my son Ian is married and got a kid on the way, so I've lost that Sherpa, you know, so I've got to carry this stuff myself. This airport security is a roller and a backpack. Going up to see the snow monkeys, you can roll part of the way, and then all of a sudden you have to climb up a muddy hill, and then you've got these, you know, steps carved in the, so you got to carry this backpack. It's got straps that pop out. So I've just tried to get it all down into something that was really convenient. Would you happen to have another question?
Yeah, there's been a couple of questions about microphones. Are you going to talk about those?
You know, thank you for the reminder. That's why I came up here in the first place. As far as microphones go, we should probably dig Adam out of the booth. Adam's our booth guy over there, making sure all this happens. And he's probably upset that I'm talking about him right now. Hi, Adam. Can we get a camera on the booth? Are you allowed to turn around and show him? No? Okay.
I'm saying no, you're not.
Okay. Okay, another one of those mighty wonders. This is a Zoom H4n. Okay. Up until I started getting involved with motion, the only thing I knew about sound was, you know, CDs sounded better than tapes most of the time. This thing is compact, it's easy to use, it's stereo, 4-channel. It holds 6 to 8 hours on a small 4 gig SDHC card, again. Battery powered, and the sound you'll be hearing, or the sound that you heard if you were on the net of Jordan talking, was recorded separately on a little microphone stand, a little cheap light stand, down out of camera range. For Jordan, and up above Yaya. That's all it was. These are semi-directional. I think there's some kind of Cartoid or there's some complex name. All I know is for $299, I got a great system that travels well, works well. It comes with, or there's a remote with a 25-foot cord available. So I don't have to keep running out every time we have a different take or do something. Hear that, Nikon? There is no remotes on these. You got to go up and punch each camera and do everything, okay? We're still waiting for that. So having a remote's really cool. It's got the foam wind buffer rather than the dead cat, which makes my wife happy. She's a cat person. And what can I say? Downloads just like everything else, you know, straight to the camera. But this is probably one of the better investments I made because even not being a sound person, I can put out decent quality sound with, you know, my clips, at least good enough to get to somebody like Adam or Nico who actually knows something about sound editing, and they can clean it up.
Adam says you're mistaken. He doesn't know that much.
Huh?
Adam says you're mistaken. He doesn't know that much.
That isn't what he was saying the other day. Well, just because we're live, now he's claiming, he's being modest. Okay. What am?
Is there any backups? Any seconds of anything?
Seconds of anything? Camera.
2 bodies?
Yeah, 2 bodies. That was a real leap of faith for me because, this is my real object of lust. This is my D3. I've had this for years. I've shot the Olympic trials with it. I've shot all around the world with it. It's never failed me. She produces gorgeous images and that I know how to work with. She's like an extension of myself. So for the one bag convergence, I took 2 D7000s, and it was scary. I mean, using one as stills and one for motion was definitely a scary experience. But you go up and you look at all the stills from the snow monkeys and from Mexico from this last photo safari, and damn thing produces great stills too. She's a C chip, which I don't particularly care for, the 1.5 crop factor. So my lenses work weird, and my 14 is like a 30 or something. And she's 16.8 megs. So with the crop factor and 16.8 megs, those photo sites are really, really tiny, okay? The D3 is 12.2 megs or 12.4 megs, somewhere right in there, and it's a full frame. So the photo sites or the pixels are really big and fat. So if you have slightly off technique, the D3 is very forgiving and still looks very sharp and everything else. But if you don't have excellent technique and you're at the border of your lens's capability, like what's that? The shutter speed equals the focal length of the lens, for hand holding, that kind of thing. Is that right, Patrick? Something like that? Maybe. I thought that was one of your rules.
Yeah, that sounds about, that's what I remember learning.
Huh?
Focal length equal shutter speed generally for handheld.
So, like my 70-200, which is, one of my favorite lenses, it's a VR lens, and I could shoot it down to a 60th or a 30th at times with the D3. I'm back up to a 200, 320, somewhere right in there with this one because the photo sites are so small and you don't have that margin of error. So it's a good thing. It really forces you to come back and go, okay, what was this tripod technique, and what about wrapping my strap around, or what about these funny little things right here, putting it on a tripod. So it forces you back into good technique. She's good there.